Close your eyes for a second. Just for a second. Feel that weight of right now, this specific moment pressing against your awareness. You're inside it, fully inside this instant. A second ago is gone. A second from now hasn't happened. And you are here. You are alive, in this needle-thin sliver of existence we call the present. Now what if I told you that feeling is completely fake? Not fake like a dream, not fake like a hallucination. Fake the way that the sun moving across the sky is fake. You know the sun doesn't move, right? You know intellectually that the earth is spinning and the sun is just sitting there, and we are the ones rotating through space. But does it look like that? No. It looks like the sun is traveling. It looks undeniably, obviously, completely like the sun rises, arcs and sets. Your eyes see it, your brain confirms it, and it is wrong. Physics says the same thing is happening with time, not as a theory, not as a fringe idea debated in the margins of academia, as a conclusion that falls directly out of the most tested, most experimentally verified framework in the history of science, and most people have absolutely no idea. So today we're going to go there, and I promise you, by the end of this video, the way you look at your own life, your own memories, your own future, will be permanently different. Not in a feel-good, motivational way, in a this is what reality actually is way. Let's build this from scratch. Imagine you have a photograph, a single photograph of a street corner, taken on a Tuesday afternoon in 1987. Everything in that photo is frozen. The woman walking her dog, mid-stride. The taxi with its brake lights on. The kid on the bike. None of them are moving. They are captured, fixed, static. And crucially, they all exist simultaneously in the photo. The woman and the taxi and the kid are all equally real within that rectangle of paper. Nobody looks at that photograph and says, wait, but the taxi is in the present and the woman is in the future. They're all just there, together, at once. Now stretch that photo into 4 dimensions. Not 3 dimensions of space, but 4, including time, and you have what physicists call a block universe. In the block universe, every moment that has ever happened or ever will happen already exists, right now, simultaneously. Your birth, your breakfast this morning, your death, whatever happens between now and then, all of it already exists as a 4-dimensional object, the way that photograph exists as a 2-dimensional one. No moment is more real than another. The past isn't gone. The future isn't waiting to be created. Everything is already there, carved into the geometry of space-time like letters in stone. This isn't a metaphor. This is the literal mathematical output of Einstein's theory of relativity, and here's where it gets deeply uncomfortable. In 1905, Einstein published his special theory of relativity, and buried inside its equations was something that nobody had expected. There is no universal now. Think about what that means. We assume, without even questioning it, that right now is the same for everyone. You and I are both experiencing this moment. Someone in Tokyo is experiencing this moment. An astronaut on the ISS is experiencing this moment. We might be doing different things, feeling different things, but we all share the same cosmic now. Right? Wrong. Relativity proved that what counts as now depends on how fast you're moving relative to something else. 2 observers moving at different speeds will disagree, fundamentally and irreconcilably, about which events are simultaneous. Here's a concrete way to feel this. Picture 2 people standing on a train platform as a train rushes through at nearly the speed of light. Someone on the platform sees lightning strike both ends of the train at exactly the same instant, simultaneous. But the person sitting in the middle of the train, moving with it? They see the lightning at the front of the train hit first, then the back, not simultaneously at all. Neither person is wrong. Neither person is seeing an illusion. From their frame of reference, from their position and velocity in space-time, they are both describing reality accurately. Reality just disagrees with itself about when things happen. And here's why that destroys the idea of a flowing now. If 2 people can't even agree on what events are simultaneous, what exactly is flowing? If you're moving toward a distant star, events on that star that I consider future might be your present. If you're moving away from it, events I call past might be your now. There's no universal ribbon of time marching forward. There's just space-time, a 4-dimensional structure, and different angles through it that we call my timeline or your timeline. The flow of time isn't a feature of the universe. It's a feature of the angle you're looking at the universe from. Now, your brain is probably fighting back right now, Because you feel time moving. You really feel it. Not as an abstraction, as a visceral, undeniable experience. The coffee goes cold. The afternoon turns into evening. You get hungry again. Things change. How can you tell me time isn't flowing, when literally everything around me is constantly changing? And this is the part where the rabbit hole goes truly deep, because physicists and neuroscientists have spent decades looking at this exact question, and the answer they've come to is both elegant and profoundly strange. What if the feeling of time flowing isn't the universe doing something? What if it's your brain doing something? Your nervous system doesn't experience reality directly. It receives signals, electrical impulses, chemical cascades, and it assembles those signals into a story, a coherent narrative, that you experience as consciousness. That narrative has to be organized somehow. It needs a sequence. Events need to feel like they happen in a particular order. And so your brain creates that sequence. It constructs a now. Neuroscientists have found that your brain actually stitches together a small window of sensory information, roughly a few hundred milliseconds worth, and presents it to your conscious experience as a single unified moment. That's your present, not a feature of the universe, a construction of your neural architecture, a real-time edit that your brain performs on the raw footage of incoming data. Think about that. The now you're experiencing isn't actually now. It's a processed version of a tiny time window, assembled and delivered to you slightly after it happened, smoothed out, synchronized, cleaned up. You're not watching live, you're watching a broadcast with a production delay. And there's another layer to this. Why do you remember the past but not the future? That asymmetry seems so obvious that we never even question it. Of course we remember the past, of course the future is unknown. But why? Physically, mathematically. Why? Here's the real answer, and it's not what most people expect. It has nothing to do with the past being real and the future being hypothetical. It has to do with entropy. Entropy is the measure of disorder in a system. The second law of thermodynamics says that entropy, on average, always increases. Things tend to go from ordered to disordered. Ice melts. Smoke disperses. Broken cups don't reassemble. Memories are physical structures. When you form a memory, neurons in your brain physically connect in new patterns. Energy is consumed. Disorder in your environment increases slightly. Storing that information requires the arrow of entropy to point forward. You cannot form a memory of a future event, because doing so would require decreasing entropy, which physics forbids. It's not that the future doesn't exist in the block universe. It's that the mechanics of information storage mean you can only have records of directions that entropy flows toward. Your memory is not a window that shows you what has already happened in some privileged sense. Your memory is a physical record that the universe's thermodynamics permits you to create in only one direction. You remember the past because of entropy, not because the past is real and the future isn't. In the block universe, they're both equally real. You just can't write records backward. Let's sit with the most uncomfortable version of this idea. If the block universe is correct, your entire life already exists, not will exist, already exists. The moments you haven't reached yet are sitting there in the four-dimensional structure of space-time right now, as real as the chair you're sitting in, the conversation you'll have next week, the decision you'll agonize over next year, the last moment of your life, whenever and wherever that is. It's there, from outside the block universe. If you could somehow look at it from a God's eye view, you would see your entire life spread out like a thread through the fabric of space-time. Your birth at one end, your death at the other, every moment between as a fixed, unchanging point along the line, and our consciousness just moves along that thread, experiencing each point in sequence, like a needle moving through grooves on a record. The music isn't being composed as the needle moves. The grooves are already there. The needle just plays them. Now, I can feel what half of you are thinking. What about free will? If everything is already written into the block, if every choice I make is already encoded in the geometry of space-time, then am I actually choosing anything? Or am I just watching myself choose? This is genuinely one of the hardest questions in philosophy and physics, and nobody has a fully clean answer. But here's what I'll offer. Even in a block universe, your choices are still your choices. They're part of the structure. The reason your future unfolds the way it does is precisely because of the decisions that your consciousness makes as it moves through your world line. The block doesn't exist independently of you. You are part of what the block is. Your agency is woven into the fabric. But if that doesn't fully satisfy you, that's okay, because it shouldn't fully satisfy you. These are open questions, and maybe that's the point. Here's something even more radical. Some physicists think we haven't gone far enough. Some researchers working at the frontier of quantum gravity, the attempt to unify Einstein's relativity with quantum mechanics, have proposed something even stranger. What if time isn't just an illusion in the sense we've been describing? What if time doesn't exist at all, even as a dimension? In certain approaches to quantum gravity, particularly something called loop quantum gravity, when you write down the fundamental equations that are supposed to describe reality at the deepest level, time simply doesn't appear, not as a flowing river, not as a dimension in a block. Nowhere. The equations are timeless. This is called the problem of time, and it's one of the deepest unsolved puzzles in theoretical physics. If the fundamental equations of the universe contain no time variable, where does our experience of time come from? One answer, proposed by physicists like Julian Barbour, is that the universe is actually a collection of static nows. Barbour calls them nows, each a complete three-dimensional configuration of everything that exists. None of them are moving. None of them are changing. They just exist as a collection, like frames of a film stacked in a box. There is no projector. There is no screen. There is no motion between frames. But some of those frames contain within them records of other frames. Some nows contain memories of other nows. And that record is what creates, in the minds of conscious beings, the illusion of sequence, the illusion of moving from one now to the next. You don't experience time, you experience a now that contains memories that make it feel like other nows came before. Let that sink in. So where does all of this leave us? We've traveled from Einstein's train platforms to the structure of your memory, from the geometry of space-time to the deepest equations of quantum gravity, and the picture that emerges is consistent in one strange direction. Time, as you experience it, is not the fundamental nature of reality. The flowing, ticking, irreversible march from past to future that feels like the most obvious fact of your existence is a construction, partly of your nervous system, partly of thermodynamics, and possibly of the way conscious information processing works. At some level we don't fully understand yet. The universe might not be a river, it might be an ocean. The whole thing spread out, existing all at once, with no current pulling anything anywhere, and what we call now is just the particular grain of sand we happen to be standing on, inside a beach that extends infinitely in both directions. Your childhood exists right now. The last hour exists right now. The last day of your life exists right now. Not as memory, not as possibility, as fact, as part of the unchanging geometry of what is. Some people find this terrifying. If everything is already written, what's the point? If my future is already there, why does any of this feel meaningful? But I think there's another way to receive this information. Every moment of your life is permanent, not just remembered, not just recorded, but geometrically inscribed into the structure of reality. The moments you experienced joy, the moments someone told you they loved you, the moments you were proud of yourself, the moments that mattered, they don't disappear. They exist, fixed forever, in the four-dimensional fabric of space-time. The present moment always will have been. Maybe that's not terrifying. Maybe that's the closest thing to immortality physics has ever offered us. The universe isn't becoming anything. It already is everything. And somewhere inside that vast, frozen, eternal structure, you are there, all of you. Every version, every moment, every breath, already real, already permanent, already. If this video rewired something in the way you think about time, share it with one person who thinks they know what now means. Because they don't, and neither did I until I went down this rabbit hole.